It's a double test today as Klevv C730 and C930 step up to bat. Good afternoon, welcome to Turbo Tortoise Tech. If you're new here, I'm Reese of the 4-piece variety Wooks Triple XL, and we have the latest Gen 4 and Gen 3 offerings from Uncle Klevv. I've been a huge fan of the RAM, especially their stability and their compatibility with a lot of devices. They tend to go high speed, but with a little bit of looser timings, just to make sure that, well, it runs and that it's going to give you within 0.5% of peak performance, but without falling over every 10 seconds. And they've done the same approach with the SSDs. These are not the absolute fastest that I've ever tested, but their price versus performance is kind of undeniable. Anyway, let's go through what's in the box. So with the C930, you do get an included heatsink, which is a big plus for me, especially for older motherboards and such that don't have those. A lot of Gen 4 and Gen 5, or PCI Express 4 and PCI Express 5 NVMe slots will have their own heatsink, as does our test bench. The C730 doesn't come with a heatsink, and that's okay. It's not really set up for heatsink usage as well, because the main side has got the sticker with the serial number and such on it. You can, however, as I've done in the past, just slap a heat pad on top of there, or thermal pad with the heatsink on top of that, and it's going to work just fine in most cases. I really like the little heatsink, the look and feel of it, and it's actually quite beefy. It's about 2 millimeters thick on the base point and on the outer edges, and then it's got 3 fins running down the middle over there. So it's made well enough that even if you don't have a slot or a cooling area in the slot, this should be more than enough to keep it cool under pressure as well. And it's got 3M as well, so they didn't cheap out and get the rubbish thermal pads that leaves things oily, unlike other ones that I use over here. Speaking of, the test bench setup is our Z690 Torpedo, powered by our 13600K. This is a 3070 Ti Supreme X, if you were curious, cooled by an H100. Yes, I know it's a little bit underspec considering everything that's happening with Intel, but we'll ignore that and carry on because we're just testing SSDs over here. So I put this in the top slot, which is the only full PCI Express 4.0 slot on this board, and then in the Gen 3 secondary slot, we had the C730, and that's fine because its bus doesn't go any faster than that anyway. And as we'll see, it's actually, the bus is actually not the problem where it comes to, well, not a problem, but not a drawback in any way when we look at the performance results. So the C930, if we compare that to our baseline Gen 4, which is the Evetech Gamix XPG, it's a bit of a bully beatdown. This is now the second fastest NVMe we've tested on the channel, only being beaten out in some of the smaller write cycle tests by the Kingston Fury. So this is very, very good. It's going to come down to its DRAM caching system, because both of these have got DRAM caching on them. So they are going to be able to stay cool under really long loads, like we did 32 gig file sizes for each one of those tests. So times 8 tests, that's 240 gigs worth of throughput to finish the benchmark. And even at 60%, it continued with its speed, and we didn't see any real degradation. Not quite what I was hoping for with the C730. I thought the DRAM caching would take it a little bit further than that, but it was average. For Gen 3, it's a solid average. It's still in the top 90% of the drives. It, however, can't really compare to the Western Digital SN570 that it's being pitted up against, which is the drive that we use on the test bench, which identified as being one of the better Gen 3s, especially where the small file handlings were considered, and it shows in the benchmark result. And unfortunately, when we go over 60% or over that 50% marker, we do get a little bit of performance degradation. It's still going to be pretty good. Klevv's bang for buck and their warranty really does help out a boatload in that regard, but the C930 really is a star of the show. It's now one of the best NVMe's you can buy, with a 5-year warranty and a considerably better price than the other Gen 4s in the market. It kind of becomes a no-brainer. You're basically losing like, what, 5% performance, but you're saving 20% at the bank, giving you a 15% implied value when you go out to buy. We will be doing a live benchmarking session with these exact drives later, probably next week. It should be on the 10th of August that we will then do the live benchmarking on these two drives. So I'll be able to show you live transfer tests, and you'll see that the DRAM caching system and the SLC and everything on the C930 is considerably superior. It is obviously asking for a higher price point. The C730, I'd like to see them tune it up just a little bit. Even though it's Gen 3, the smaller file sizes weren't quite what I was expecting, so it doesn't get to quite the same value. There's a lot more competition in that segment as well, which it makes it difficult, honestly, because there's so much more Gen 3 product for it to be compared to. But in Gen 4, damn Klevv, that is not whack. Much like with your RAM, when it comes to premium stuff, you guys really do knock it out of the park. And I can't help but feel that's down to some MIT influence, if you know what I mean. Anywho, that is all I have for you on the C930 and the C730 for this review. If you have enjoyed it, please do hit us up with a like and subscribe, and I will see you on the flip side.